Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Gotham Chess Slow Run. In this series, I am playing on an authorized account on chess.com. I started at 400, and now we are up to the mid-1200s. This is episode number 27, and we will be approaching 1300 today. Now, I look quite disheveled, and I probably sound funny because I'm pretty sick. I have some sort of cold, flu, COVID. I don't know. I don't know what I have, but what I do know is that I couldn't not upload for 2 days. We don't do that on this channel. I've been making videos pretty consistently for like 6 years at this point. I spent like the whole day in bed. I was like, let's get out. Let's record a slow run episode. I've been having enough chicken soup today. So that's what we're going to do. Also, little sneak peek for some of you that like to watch this series. How to Win at Chess Next Level, my second book for intermediate, will be available for pre-order in 9 days, the first day of the candidates. So March 29th, mark your calendars. Very excited, and I will talk about that when it happens, but you all get a little bit of sneak preview here because you are slow run supporters. So there you go. All right, we're going to take it very, very easy today. And by that, I mean we're going to win every game. Because luckily, even though I'm a little bit under the weather, I can still play chess at a pretty decent level. My opponent plays d4. And I'm going to show you the power of the Dutch defense. Okay, we have a London. Never mind. So can't really do much if they play a London. I'm going to play knight to f6. Now, the way I like to play the Dutch, especially as a what was I gonna say? I've got like sick brain. The way I like to play the Dutch when it's not a London is I like to put this bishop on b7, and this bishop I like to go to b4 to trade off for the knight. Now, if my opponent plays c3, and frankly, that's why I haven't played bishop to b4, yeah, now I can't really do that, right? This is why the London is a little bit of an antidote against the Dutch, but we're still going to set up our Dutch defense like this. My opponent is also playing very flexibly. Is that a word? I don't know. It's going to be a weird video. Now, this bishop can just go to e7. One other way I like to play this position, though, is I like to develop the bishop to the d6 square. It's a very strange move because it challenges this London bishop. Okay, my opponent doesn't even take me, so now I'm just going to castle. I don't really like to take because that opens up their file, so I'm not going to do that unless they have to take with the f-pawn, like if they play h3. And if they take me, it's actually not the worst thing in the world because I take, this pawn goes to d5, and I have good control of the center of the board. Now, my opponent's playing in a very flexible way, playing very principled in the opening. So I have to finish my development somehow. Knight to c6 is obviously an option. I like it. It blocks the bishop a little bit, so maybe I could have also went knight to e4. In general, though, here I'm going to have to fight back in the middle of the board at some point. Maybe something like queen to e7, followed by pawn to e5. Let's blow our nose collectively. And my opponent long castles. So we're going to have a very interesting back and forth game here. Opposite side castling means that there's going to be the possibility to attack each other, since our kings are on different sides of the board. Now I have to make a move here. I am going to play queen e7, trying to prepare a central pawn advance like this. The move knight to c6 was a little bit short-sighted on my part. I mean, the idea was to maybe prepare a move like pawn to e5, but it's kind of in the way, so it's not a particularly good spot for the piece. Knight c4 is an interesting move. So you're trying to go here, and you're trying to get me to take you. Let's do it. And let's show why it might not be that dangerous to have this rook on this open file. Now, I want to draw your attention to another thing. And this is how, your gameplay will be determined and your middle game plans will be determined. This is an opposite side castling position, which means, you're going to have more attacking possibilities, but also it's a closed position. There are some openings, but if both sides have a lot of pawns, and in this case, we have all of our pawns, it's a closed position. There's a lot of pawns on the board. And in a closed position, maneuvering your pieces might take multiple turns, and there's different ways you can, put your pieces to sort of stand around on the board. You can also go backwards and reroute your pieces much more commonly. In closed positions, you also kind of want to avoid positions that allow dominant control of certain squares. You want to avoid having too many pawns on a certain color. Like, for example, look, my knight is hanging. And I really would love to play the move d5. It looks like just a simply fantastic move. But I don't like that the knights would come to e5 together. So actually here, I'm going to play knight to d8. And the point of the slow run is to get you thinking of moves like knight to d8. And by the way, my opponent is 1279. Even if I'm going to play full strength at 2800 rapid or whatever my rapid rating is, my blitz rating is 2998. Sounds like a price at a store. In a closed position, it's difficult to win games. Because the position is, you heard it here first, closed. It's not so simple to just make, maneuvers. And it's not easy to break through. Rook to h4. Wow, what a move. So my opponent is going to double up on the h-file. That's the idea. And they're adding potential vision over here. Now, I kind of see that that's coming. I don't think there's anything wrong with just preemptively putting this pawn on h6. Now, the knight might come to e5. The knight might come to e5. And if it comes to e5, okay, my opponent just plays like that. Now, I could maybe I'll play pawn to d6. I like this move because it covers both things from coming there. Wow, g4 is very clever. G4 is a very clever little move. Trying to undermine me. So if I take this, I would be losing my knight in the center of the board. Now, if they take me, then I just take back. So maybe we just improve our knight off the back rank. We bring it to f7, where it defends h6, and it stops maybe g5. But you see, this is exactly how opposite side games should be played. So after this trade, we now have an extra defender of our knight in the middle of the board. That's obviously good. It also means we can bring a rook to support the queen, so our knight is really going to be well protected in the middle. I still am very cognizant that two horses would love to jump into e5, and I do want you to get into the habit of not allowing such things. And it took a while, but my opponent has blundered. The move knight to d2, they were staring at my knight in the middle, but they forgot that by going here, they block the communication of the queen and this pawn. And now knight takes f2 is really devastating because I hit the rook and I hit the bishop, and that's a very important bishop for the attack that white was hoping to cultivate. White only has rook here to not lose material, because if the rook goes somewhere else, wow, they're just giving up the rook. So they didn't want to lose the bishop that badly. So now I'm going to take the rook. I'm looking at a check, but that's not that scary. I mean, I'm just going to move out of the way. This is also free, but this could be an instructive moment where I show you whether to be gluttonous or not. If we take this pawn, I think a lot of you would be tempted. We could be opening ourselves up to some big unpleasantries by opening this G file. I actually don't like that at all. I am thinking to just bring my rook to the party, or bring my knight over here and open up this, but I don't see anything wrong with the move rook e8. So this piece isn't playing, and since I am up a rook for a knight, you really should use your material. By the way, I'm not doing great on time. 5 minutes is not a lot of time to win this position. I will be able to likely do it, but That does not mean much. I mean, it's very easy to lose this position. I think d5 was also a nice idea. Or b5. I like d5 because the knight actually doesn't have a lot of spaces to go. Like right now, if I play pawn to d5, yes, I block my bishop, but the knight can't move anywhere. It has to move there, and then I take this pawn, and if I take that pawn and get into white's position, I should be doing very well. So this was a closed position, and in a closed position, piece maneuvers and pawn breaks are extremely important to breaking apart the position. We saw white start to generate an attack against me. Okay, I guess my opponent just decides to lose this pawn like this. But now I have an overwhelming rush down the center of the board with my queen and my two rooks. And in this game, my opponent ended up getting tangled with my knight in the center of the board and losing one of their key pawns. And panicked a little bit. They lost the pawn, and then rather than, following up with a logical move, they just decided to sacrifice material, which I'm not sure was the best decision. Okay, knight f1 is an incredible defensive move. Like, really. Spotting that you can defend the pawn on e3 is really impressive. I think I'm just considering bishop to a6 here. I also can play queen f6 and queen f2, but this looks like a very straightforward move. Just going after that knight. I expect maybe white will go back to d3, but like this is very high level chess, folks. This is high level chess. I mean, I will trade since I have a material advantage. And now there's two ways to win this position. One is to overwhelm the opponent with the queens and the rooks. Something like rook to f2, dominate on the second rank. And the next one is just like offer a trade of queens. And then I will show you how to win a superior endgame. When you have rooks on the board, the rooks are going to have to go to the second rank. That's the way they're going to dominate. Queen b5 is not a terrible move. I get the idea, but the problem is that now I don't even have to go to the endgame yet. Now this move rook f2 is just very good. Now, you do lose a defender of this rook. That is very important that you kept that in mind. But you are protected. So now we are threatening a mate. We are also threatening this pawn. Not exactly, because the queen is not defending that. Be careful. So I think, look at this. Here's a way you can miscalculate in chess. Rook takes d2, king takes, queen takes e3. That would be absolutely tragic. That doesn't work, because even though we're going to win the rook in the end, we're losing this rook. That is why you always want to keep it very simple. Keep it very, very simple. Queen takes e3 is the best move. This is just simple chess. Oof. Simple chess. And white is really struggling for moves here. You got to go something like rook d1. I'm probably just going to take another pawn on g2. White is just going to lose a lot of pawns here. Maybe I'll go rook d8. I have a lot of good moves. I mean, I'm looking at d4. I might even be missing some wins because I'm not feeling my best. Probably something like this is the best for white. Queen c6 and queen c7. Trying to win my pawn back at least. The king is, yeah, they're playing well. My opponent. I still can threaten a queen trade, by the way. I mean, it's not exactly a threat, but you get what I'm saying. The queen trade is always going to be winning for me, so... But was that necessary? No, I probably... And frankly, I think I should just be aggressive here. I don't think this bloodlust to trade the queen is the correct approach. We are going to take this pawn now. So we have a 5-point advantage. We have a rook, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 3 extra pawns. I didn't even realize. There's some tricky moves like knight to e4. It's kind of a classy little move. Okay, knight to b3 played. Targeting my queen. Go queen f2. That's mate. Obviously, okay, they just go back and stop it. Now we can maybe repin, although to be honest, this is already a pin. So let's just hammer away here. Let's just hammer away. The knight can't move because there's mate. Now, if I take with the rook, I have to be cognizant that there are checks. But as long as I'm escaping the checks, queen e5, there's nothing. Okay, let's take on c3. Now our rook is in the game. And now we can actually simplify. So this is a very, very clean move. Rook takes d2. This move just wins us the game on the spot because it just immediately simplifies the position to a winning endgame. We don't even have to do this, but this is totally winning. We have 5 pawns, and they have 2. And 2 pawns like this always win because you just don't touch them. You just don't touch them. The king can't take this one because this pawn queens. And this is easy. Yep. Just don't make a stalemate. Cut the king off. Well, the opponent's not resigning, but that's completely fine. You don't have to resign. Let's go check. And ladder mate. That was a very, very, very good game. Like, really, my opponent played extremely well. These games are getting super high level now. The London, by the way, in case it's not clear, is a very decent opening. I mean, it is, even against a master level player like myself, I mean, my opponent had a totally good position. Had a very reasonable game. You know, like, I went like this, and white was just doing great. I mean, in this game, it took me, like, it was equal for 17 turns between me and a 1280 rated player. I mean, this person played fantastic. Like, there's nothing to be said. It's a shame that they, just blundered here. And yeah, at the sub 1300 level, this type of stuff still tends to happen. But the Dutch defense is really, really nice and effective, in particular against the Queen's Gambit setup. And I have a Dutch course, which you can try for free, where we get the same type of position that we got here, except you damage their pawn structure, and then you plant your knight in the center of the board. Since we don't know if they are going to play a London, that's the risk of playing the Dutch. And, if they play the London, well, then you have to adapt, and you have to you have to just play chess. I think instead of knight to c6, I should have prepared the move c5 with queen e7, defending my bishop, and then c5, knight c6, and rook c8. And that would have been better than what happened in the game, because I would have actually had an attack on my opponent's c-file. Whereas in the game, I mean, still, yeah, white played very well. Now, you will notice right here, I did not play the move d5. I told you about this. In a closed position, you are much more susceptible to outposts if you put everything on a color like this, on the same color. And after knight to e5, you will just be dominated. And after something like this, it could get even worse. This knight versus this bishop is not even comparable, It's not even comparable. So, really excellent play by my opponent. And I was showing you here how to spot how the opponent can establish dominant position in your territory. It was a very good game. Very good game by my opponent. I mean, really. What more can I say? That was very well done. I might take a page out of their playbook and play a London myself. Oh, this could be one of my favorites. This could be a King's Indian into a London. Okay, that's weird. Now, allow me to show you a very fancy technique, since we are in the intermediate part of the slow run. Sometimes against stuff like this, I like to play pawn to f3. The reason that I like to do this is because then, well, this is just terrible, I can play pawn to e4. So my opponent just helped me get multiple turns in the center for free, right? So now I'm just playing with 2 extra turns. I basically played f3 and e4. And it's just crazy how 1280 is so random. Like, the last person I played played just incredibly, and like, what even is this, right? Like, now I'm just taking the entire center. I have both bishops out. I'm getting my knight out. I'm not showing where I'm going to castle yet. But in general, in these types of positions, I think castling longside is better. Your attacking chances are bigger. I'm going to go here because I want to support my center, and I want my bishop pointed at these pawns. Sometimes when the opponent overextends like this and plays really stupidly early on, you can actually immediately fire pawns at it, especially if you have a lead in development, and especially if you have more space. More development, more space. Safer king. Like, queen d2, long castle, h4 is +3 probably for white already. This is also just very strong, just instigating, trying to break this apart. Black should probably push. Okay, now I'm not going to take. I'm going to continue to try to develop as many pieces as I can. This is just a terrible move because you open up the file for me to create attacking chances. You shouldn't be doing that. Like, look at me. I've developed every piece, right? And you're still kind of trying to fire away with your pawns. It's not like completely terrible, but I'm obviously going to keep the bishop pointed at the king. This is one of these flank players. Yeah, exactly. This is one of these flank players. There are players that just like to use pieces on the sides. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play rook g1. That obviously can't be a bad move. I'm now creating a direct target at my opponent. And I will just show you how to punish somebody who leaves the king in the middle and the pieces at home. To be honest, we've been doing this since the beginning. Like, since the beginning of the slow run, we've been punishing poor opening play. Now, watch this. I have no idea if the move that I'm about to play is the best move or not. I'm just following the principles that I have more development and their king is in the middle. I'm going e5. This move loses a pawn. Take, take, take. It also loses this pawn. But I'm sort of relying on the fact that I have so much more development that there is just no chance this attack can't be good for me. Like, I don't know. Like, look, rook g7, teaming up with my bishop. Let's go rook g7. There's always going to be some attacking thing for me. Even if I sack my bishop and I lose a full piece, because, you know, my opponent's trying to trap me over here. Even if that happens. But because, I mean, I just went here. I just set this up. How can you? Oh my goodness. Like, now here's a great follow-up. My rook is hanging. If I move my rook back, I lose my bishop. So you might be tempted to just take, but the best move is obviously to double up, I think. Even if you take, even if you trade down here, you do all this and you trade. Look at how black has no defense. Black is literally completely defenseless on this side of the board. Like, look, I can just play rook h1. The bishop has no moves. Bishop g5, take, 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 and mate. You cannot play like this. Oh, bishop h3 is crazy. I didn't see bishop h3 at all. Bishop h3 blocks my attack. I mean, this is just a very unorthodox player. But knight f4 is just resignation. I mean, the bishop hangs and this bishop hangs. It's just, you just resign. I mean, you just cannot play chess like this. You cannot move your g and h pawns and not move anything else. But it shows you the level differences on chess.com at this level. It's so random. It's so random. Like, you could be a good principal player like that last opponent. That last opponent played like a 1900. This person played like a 800. But they have the same rating. Different styles. B4 is interesting. If I take, they're going to take. Now, look, I'm going to transfer my knight. I don't know. Both moves look okay to me. I like transferring my knight this way because I feel like I need to attack the king. There is one remaining trap here. There's one remaining trap. The remaining trap is somehow trying to break through and checkmate me. The usual rule of thumb, if you want to prevent being attacked, is take once and push the second time. And obviously keep the rook closed. Do not play AB, AB. Don't play like this. We do say take toward the center. But if you take toward the center, you open up the position. So I'm thinking A3 or take once. To be honest with you, I think just pushing stops the whole attack because sometimes getting a pawn taken like this matters, but not right now. Pawn takes c2, there is no follow-up. It's not like the knight is getting here, and then I'm going to start eating these pieces. So a3 just kind of calms the attack. And this is obviously a person that waits for their opponent to castle before launching their own attack. It's definitely one of the strategies. That's just free, right? I can just take this, and now it's just a matter of time. Queen g2. I mean, I can even throw in a check right now. There's no way to block it. So I'm going to get a monstrous attack brewing. If king h7, I think I can sacrifice the rook. King h6, discover check. All right. Pawn to e6 check. And this is just a walloping for this king. Rook takes h6 is a check. King f5. And I will take and mate with a pawn. That's how we're going to win this one. Look at this one. That was beautiful. 3 pieces for black didn't even make it off the back rank. They didn't, basically off their home squares. Not a lot of respect for the pieces in this one. Just, again, you want to play your London. You want to play, like, stuff that's principled and put all the pieces in all the right squares. But I am trying to teach as well. And if you can put 2 pawns in the center, you should. Actually, I think the top move of the computer is f3. 0.6. One of them. Yeah, the other one is knight c3 and then try to play h3 and then play e4. But this just helped me set up my position. Queen c8 is like, why would you play queen c8? Like, I don't... It's just a pass-back move, you know? And every move I made, I improved my position. Bishop e3. I could have also went to g3, and I would have tried to castle this way. Since my opponent expanded on this side of the board, that's where I struck back. And since I castled this way, that's where my opponent tried to attack me, but it's just too slow of an attack. I go here, and now the best move for white is knight f4, apparently. I don't really know. Knight f4 and I guess knight h5, knight d5. But I told you, I don't even think it's the best move. It's one of the best moves. Pawn to e5. Just attack, open up the center. Because when you open up the center and all your lines are there, even a move like bishop d4, trading the bishops, creating a direct attack against the king like this. Knight f6, knight e4, knight d5. Like, black is just lost because black is so passive in this position. Their pieces do not coordinate. Even if my opponent, you know, didn't blunder this. Like, I played rook g7 here because I saw this. But, like, even if they get to play a4, well, they can't because I'm threatening this. Let's say king f8, and I play knight f4, and they play a4. Like, I'm losing my bishop. You're still completely winning because you have all these attacking possibilities. Like, you can sack a rook. You can go queen g7. When you play chess the right way, you get every piece in the game, and the king is over there in the center, not castled. Even being down a bishop or a pawn or 2 or a bishop and the pawn doesn't matter because your opponent's pieces are just terrible. Like, they're not playing in the game at all, you know? Let's play an Italian or a Spanish. Okay. My opponent plays b6. This could be one of my suggestions. I don't know. Maybe my opponent is playing something that I recommend. The e6, b6 defense. Bishop d3, defending the center. This is the most flexible approach. The point is that after knight c3, my opponent wants to pin my knight. If you don't know that, you're going to allow it, but that's okay. So look, this is what my opponent is hoping for. There it is. You didn't know that. You know, you just played the opening for the first time. You didn't know that. I play pawn to e5 because I see that there's tactics in the middle. You know? Okay, they take. I take. That's an inaccurate move, actually. You needed to bring the knight in and apply pressure. Taking, I think, is incorrect. So my opponent plays knight d5, attacking my pawn on c3. I can defend it, or I can advance and kick the knight. By the way, By the way, we might be looking at another Greek gift. Back-to-back episodes with the Greek gift sacrifice we could be looking at. Let's see. I'm going to castle and hope my opponent castles. Could there be another Greek gift sacrifice here? Oh. Maybe not. Well, you know what? I'm going to preserve the Greek gift. I'm not going to trade the bishop. I'm not going to trade the bishop. If knight to b4, well, we're going to have to figure it out. But I'm hopefully drawing your attention to these tactics. h7 only protected by the king, knight to g5 possible. Okay, so let's see, maybe one more hold on. Let's defend the center with another pawn. Maybe my opponent will keep developing. Wow, d5. Okay, black is not falling for my trap. I'm getting a little annoyed. En passant, maybe. We take en passant. And now I bring a rook to the middle. And I think it's still theoretically possible, but it's quite clear that my opponent is not going to fall for it. Black actually got a very reasonable position from the opening here. Very reasonable. And this is why you shouldn't play for hope chess. After knight d5, the way black fought back was very admirable. Now, I have a damaged pawn structure. People are very bad at playing with doubled pawns. Here, my opponent should be trying to apply more pressure to my center. With knight c6 and maybe rook d8. I would like to undouble. I'd like to mobilize into the middle of the board. Crazy. These 1200s are built different now. They're really built different. Like they are on another level. I'm going to go queen a4. Queen a4 looks like an interesting move. Another possibility is to obviously just defend my pawn with bishop to e3. I might just do that. That looks like by far the simpler move. I liked queen a4 because I attacked the bishop, and then I can replace my queen with a rook. And that way, my rook is the one defending in the middle. Okay. Knight to a5. Knight to a5. I think, first of all, I'm looking at if I can take this. I don't think it's a good idea. This is not actually free because there's a lot of positions where I can play queen a4 check. I do want to play this move knight e5. Knight e5 defends and activates my knight a little bit. Queen e2 is another move, very calm, simply just defending the pawn, but a little bit passive for my taste. I still have this queen a4, but I also can play d takes c5, b takes c5, and then queen a4 check. Ooh, that could be annoying. Look at me combining ideas. What I just did there was called reciprocal thinking. I had an idea, which was queen a4, and then I was like, wait a minute, that doesn't work. But now that I've destabilized the knight and the bishop, look at this. Now we have some problems here. And by we, I mean my opponent. Queen a4 attacks the knight, and black is kind of forced to, tie their shoes together here a little bit. But everything is protected. It is protected. My bishop is also hanging, so I'm looking at bishop to e4 potentially. And then to take, maybe. That looks like it could be very promising. My pawn on c4 is just a goner, but you can't actually take it with the knight, because I would take the bishop. And you can't take it with the bishop, because I would take the knight. I am threatening to take the knight. If queen takes, I take this. Now, I'm looking at rook b1. Or rook d1 first. Rook b1. Rook b1 with pressure on the bishop. Now I am potentially threatening to take that bishop. My opponent defends. Now I'm okay, how about this move? We just keep creating threats. The queen is hanging. The queen backs up. Can I sack the rook here? The queen would take. Wow, it's getting real wild, this game. I can also not sacrifice, and I can instead add an attacker to the c5 pawn with my bishop. That looks very promising. I'm also threatening, am I, to take this knight? That's just straight up a free knight because of the pin. What a crazy position. But now I take the pawn on c5, and this is going to be a skewer of the queen and the rook. What a crazy position. What a crazy position this is. Very tactical game, this one. Very instructive. Hopefully you're paying attention of how the pieces are coordinating and how the defending side here, which is my opponent, is really struggling because three pieces are tied together. They cannot move at all. The knight can't move literally. Then this knight can't move because the knight would hang, and this bishop can't move. So now of course, we pick up the rook because material is very important in chess. And now I want to play rook takes a5, but that doesn't quite work because after knight takes a5, our bishops are staring at each other. That's very annoying. But minimizing your, you looking through all the chaos here, a very clean move here could be something like rook to b1 because you're just doubling up and adding more pressure. So now there's more pressure on that bishop. And in the previous position, I'm not sure we were threatening bishop takes c6. a6 is a very reasonable move. But what if we just like go forward a square, like to b6? So now bishop takes knight. You have to calculate that they could take with a knight, the bishop, or the queen. Obviously, if they take with a queen, you take the queen. If they take with a knight, the bishop loses a guard. And if they take like this, the rook hangs and the knight hangs. So actually, here, the overwhelming amount of pressure on the position, black's position just disintegrates. Just absolutely disintegrates here. We take it, and they actually don't have a way to take back because even that move removes a defender of the bishop on b7. Black's position was just too passive. Too passive. And when you lack so much space, it's really difficult to coordinate defensively. Queen d8 here would be a very nice move. Because if I take the knight, there would be a back rank checkmate. Now, I'm going to give a check. And I'm going to infiltrate with my queen. Rook c7 was also very clean. I could have just played rook c7. But queen d6 I like. We're kind of like swarming here. Rook b8 would be winning the queen. If it was not protected. I mean, if it is protected. So now we're going to go here. And if knight takes, I'm not even sure I have to take. Well, now we're definitely going to play rook b8. You might even have a forced mate with rook g7, but this is by far the simplest solution. Queen d5 check also was winning the knight. That's the, queen c7 now is a fork of the knight. And my opponent resigns. Another very, very high-level game. I'm not saying that because I won. I'm saying that because my opponent actually played really, really well. So I played the Owens defense. I played e4, rather. My opponent played b6, which is one of the things that I've actually recommended before. And then played bishop b7. And in this position, knight f6 is actually an inaccuracy because I can play e5 immediately attacking the knight. But I was like, whatever. I mean, if you don't know how to refute openings, you're going to just play natural moves. My opponent went bishop b4. And then here already, white was doing very well. And I should have been more emphatic. I should have attacked the knight maybe, or I should have developed my queen and I tried to put my bishop on this square. But I was starting to find it kind of funny that my opponent wasn't blundering the Greek gift. They did all this. And here the evaluation is already plus 3.4. And the reason for that is, you know, here I just played a slow move. But that's actually because I kept trying to set up the Greek gift, which was silly. Here you need to realize you have, again, played the opening very principled. You have developed all your pieces, you have an overwhelming space advantage, and black is not even castled. So just like in the previous game, it is time to get the most powerful attacking piece involved. And that is why knight g5 is so strong. Knight g5 does two things. Number one, it gets your queen in the game, and you're going for a direct assault against the king. Number two is you spot a square in the opponent's territory you would like to plant your knight, an outpost square, which we covered in game 1 of this video. All of this stuff is in How to Win a Chess Next Level. This. If you can land your knight on d6, it's over for black. So something like pawn to h6, knight e4 and trying to go to d6 is absolutely brutal. And, you know, black has to play like knight c8 or something terrible. So this reroutes to an outpost and brings in your heavy hitter. And the craziest thing is your position is so good, you can actually sack on f7, which is what I told you in the last game. When your position is so dominant and the opponent hasn't developed properly, look, oops, there's just a tactic. A tactic appears out of thin air, right? But of course, even if you play queen h5, position is so dominant here. You know, queen h3 or something, and then you bring your rook, and then you start the attack. I didn't play it perfectly. I didn't play it that perfectly. My opponent actually got a very reasonable position. But then I spotted, again, the king in the center, queen a4, and before you know it, these pieces are so poorly coordinated. So I added pressure. And I noticed that when I moved my queen, my bishop lost the guard continuity. So then I went here. Then I went here. Then I went here. And then I went rook b5. Already here, bishop c6 is apparently just winning on the spot. Bishop c6, knight c6. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I missed this. You can sack your queen. Wow, that's incredible. That is beautiful. And that goes to show you, look, I have 5 attacking pieces. Black has 4 pieces in the game and just never castled. I can sack my queen, win a rook back, and then win the queen back and the rook. Amazing. I think that's a good note to end on. Appreciate your support as always. I'm going to get some rest. I'm going to rest my vocal cords. And yeah, can't wait. The candidates tournament starts in about 8-9 days. How to Win a Chess Next Level will be out for pre-order in 8-9 days. Mark your calendars. And the slow run chugs along. And I will continue to improve my health. That's all I have for you today. Get out of here.